Here I am.
That's scary as hell.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Fandom Outpost. Usually I am 1/3 your host. My name is Mark.
And I'm Bob. Hi everybody. Welcome to the show. Thank you for tuning in. If you like our content, please like and subscribe to our channel. We'd really appreciate that. Get all that out of the way before we start. We would really appreciate that. Leave a comment. Let us know your thoughts on our topic today. Which, if I roll down the caddy to the letter M, it is for Manhunter today. So we're going to talk about Manhunter, do a little retrospective from 1986. Michael Mann film. And it's one that goes way back with Mark and I. I know that. That is one of the big ones that we used to talk about all the time. So
yeah, we got lucky when that came out. Like, we were really like, it wasn't very well promoted. It didn't know where it fit into the
How
scheme
did we
of
see that?
the 80s movies. Yeah, but well, I don't know, dude.
To Live and Die in L.A., I'm guessing from.
I don't know. Didn't this one come first?
Petersen, To Live and Die in L.A. We just did a pod on that. If you guys want to check that out, last episode, and that was 85. So
right.
This was 86.
This was 86.
And I want to say it was the fall. I didn't look up the release date, but I always feel like it's the fall when I think of this movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I think I didn't know who this William Petersen guy was, so it was like, oh, that was a good movie. And I really, as with our the last episode that we did, our retrospective about To Live and Die in L.A., I liked Richard Chance. That was, I was reckless in my youth, I will admit. So that I resonated with. But you kept the candle burning, like, oh, that guy from To Live and Die in L.A. is in this new movie. And it's the dude who does Miami Vice. So we were that was the connection of coming into it. All right, let's go check that out. Yeah. And I admit this, you're probably not going to remember, dude, but when we first watched it, we sat there in the seats. We did. As soon as it was over, and we were just like, wow, okay. There was that weird surreal moment where we just sat there and we were like, huh.
There's so much to
take in. It's like, how do you, visually, the music, the cinematography, all that stuff, we were just like, wow. So it was interesting.
Coming off the era of the whole MTV video, everything was kind of visual, and Michael Mann doing his Miami Vice thing was like we were all up in that,
right?
And of course, this kind of dovetails right off of that into the mid '80s, and really kind of stamps itself as its own kind of look from that era, and we'll get into more of that, right?
Yeah, it didn't. I mean, this is the height of 80s one-liner action genre thing. So, folks, if you got to see this like when we did, this thing stands apart. It's a movie that nobody knew how to categorize yet. You didn't know where to place it in the genre. So it was like, and it was divisive. It was, you kind of either liked it or you didn't like it. But I think as the years went on, and I hate the word cult following. I really hate that.
No, it is true, though. It does have a subculture of fans.
And it's just, we've always championed it because we got on Michael Mann's bandwagon in the beginning. So that's one of the few directors that we were in there at the beginning, Jericho Mile and that kind of stuff. You know?
This was his third feature film.
Yeah.
Coming off of Thief, right?
Yeah. It would be,
and The Keep.
And
right.
The Keep.
We did an episode on The Keep.
Yeah, The Keep, yes.
Which is out there.
It doesn't matter. I'm going to champion that movie. I liked it for what it was, because in the beginning, I think Michael Mann took more risks and you got to look at his first 4 or 5 films. They were really that type of thing where he was like, I want to do this, not this is what I'm known for, so I'm going to keep at this kind of thing and stuff. So
it's just such a different genre for him. It was really a bold swing, I guess, on The Keep, because it was. He usually does this thing where the hero is, has some flaws, and it's like a challenge, and it's, his thematic things with that is always
Right.
our hero having difficulty overcoming obstacles personally
Right.
or psychologically.
Well, Bob really latched onto this in the beginning. The psychological aspect of this movie, Bob was really like, man, that was, really like, I think it resonated with you in the beginning quickly more than it did me. Like I said, I was, you know, you're the disease, I'm the cure. I was that type of action hero star type of thing. I loved a good Stallone blow 'em away type of movie,
Yeah.
to get the higher body count. But this thing was really, you're pointing out nuances to me that I was like, oh, all right. And then over the years, the more we've talked about it, was pretty, like, oh man, this is really cool. So there were certain films that Bob was like, this one's Bob's. All in the beginning, the zeitgeist of Manhunter has just been surrounding him for years.
Yeah, this one is one of my top favorite comfort movies, psychological thriller movies. It
Right.
it spawns the whole Hannibal Lecter fascination that comes, few years later with Silence of the Lambs, and
Right.
let's walk the route, as he says, and talk about the film. Let me let me give you a little synopsis of anyone who hasn't seen it. The film follows FBI profiler Will Graham, played by William Petersen, psychologically scarred investigator, pulled out of retirement to hunt a serial killer called the Tooth Fairy, forcing Graham to confront the darkness he escaped. Mann turns the procedure thriller into a hypnotic study of obsession and identity, where catching a killer means getting dangerously close to becoming one. That seems to be the big theme, is Will Graham as the FBI profiler, which
Right.
was kind of that was like the first time I think that may have been used in a film, was
Yeah,
profiling.
yeah, dude, we at the time, maybe, like, because I admit we didn't, well, I can't speak for you, but like, I didn't have a great understanding of, like, what does that mean, profile? What is
No,
he talking about? He's in the mind. I didn't get that.
that was all new.
Yeah, in the years that followed, when you get things like CSI and, Criminal
Yep.
Minds and all stuff like that, all these things, those are shows that are really latching on to that. We have to think like the killer type of thing, and
Right.
we didn't get that back in, what,
No.
86. So,
86, yeah.
yeah,
All that was new. The whole
different.
stuff with the profiling and all the procedural things that the FBI
Right.
did was all kind of the first time on film, pretty
Right.
much.
And it's based on Thomas Harris's novel Red Dragon, which is really good. If you
Yeah.
so sometimes movies are based off of source material, and the director does what he wants to do with it, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and then sometimes there's a movie that somebody writes a novelization of it. It's just not like Red Dragon with a new cover of the poster. You know what I mean? So sometimes we should do a pod on that. Sometimes novelizations of movies, things like that. But the novel is really good. I've read it a couple times over the past 40 or so years. I really enjoy it. And the one thing that I guess, and we can get into all that, but the mystery of who Will Graham was, he comes to us as the end of his career, not at the beginning.
Right.
So he's
stepped
not
away. Yeah.
Yeah, he's gone. He's already retired. He's had really two seriously high profile cases at this point. Hannibal Lecter and Garrett Jacob Hobbs. Those are from the novel, and you only see the character of Hannibal Lecter in the movie version, so you don't see what happened to the other one. But I think that is what it compels us to follow him. So if you
Right.
can't look anymore, I'll understand.
Right.
Don't run a game down on me,
Jack.
Jack.
There's some great lines in this too, and great
Yeah.
writing.
Once those lines came out, it was over. So if I was ever trying to, if I was ever trying to shine Bob on, Bob would turn to me immediately and be like, "Don't try to run a game down on me." So always the lines that we had from movies that we'd steal for everything else and stuff. Because I'm a fighter,
Right.
crap like that. Oh my God.
The story is Graham
Yeah.
trying to confront his past and help Jack Crawford, his boss.
Yeah, FBI supervisor Jack Crawford is the one that pulls him out of retirement because they have a lunar cycle killer. serial killer on the hand. He's struck twice, and Crawford's motivation is basically, if with you on the case, we have a better chance to catch him. Played by the legendary Denis Farina in this version. Scott Glenn would play Crawford in The Silence of the Lambs, but it's played by Denis Farina. And then in Red Dragon, which is the third there's a movie called Red Dragon done by Brett Ratner, and Harvey Keitel played Jack Crawford. So there's been attempts over the years to do that, and I think the Red Dragon with Edward Norton, I know it's not part of this, but I think they only did that because they wanted to tie in Anthony Hopkins to make it a trilogy.
Right.
That's all they wanted to do, so they had to do that one. But sorry. Anyway, go ahead, Bob. This one stands apart.
Lecter makes an appearance in this because Will Graham, once he's in on the case, he's all in, and he has to get psychologically into it to almost go into the mind of the killer, the serial killer.
Right.
So in order to get the scent back, as he says, he goes back to see Hannibal Lecter, who attacked him years before and caused him to, quit the FBI.
Right.
So there's a great sequence of them cat and mouse in the jail cell, and it's quite different than The Silence of the Lambs, where it's like this kind of underground lair kind of thing, where this is more of a sterile, everything's white. The cell, Lecter's dressed in all white t-shirt and pants, and it's played by Brian Cox, you may know from
legendary Brian Cox.
Brian Cox was great in this, and he sounds like, from the interviews I've heard, he has made peace with the fact that he is, the separate Lecter, and Hopkins got all the applause later.
The multiverse Lecter.
Yeah, and I could really appreciate his performance. I kind of, it's hard to say prefer it, but I definitely appreciate it, and I like it being a separate thing.
Appreciate it because, to me, it's subtle. This is going to sound really bizarre. I always saw Brian Cox's Lecter as the everyday man. There doesn't appear to be anything really wrong with him. He just was a highly intelligent dude that killed people. Whereas there's something creepy about Anthony Hopkins' Lecter. You know what I'm saying? Like, you get
creepy.
You get that vibe right away. But Brian Cox,
would you like to give me your home phone number?
He's just like, okay, it's like, They left the number for you right there. Like, I got to go, bang, 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 bang. You know what I mean? That kind of stuff. So your hands are very tan, Will. They're not cops' hands anymore. And there is something lacking, though, but at the time we didn't know that. So can you imagine if they had extended scenes or something like that back and forth? But it worked better for this movie because the movie is not about Hannibal Lecter. In the modern Red Dragon, even the filmmakers admit they had to create scenes so that Anthony Hopkins could be in it, because he's not in it in the original Red Dragon novel, because it's not about him. It's about I was about to say Buffalo Bill. That was wrong. The Tooth Fairy. It's about him. It's about that serial killer. There's only maybe one or two Lecter scenes that should stand out, and because Brian Cox plays him the best he can in such short increments, I think it works. It works for the Michael Mann film. It's very strong. It's very good. You do get a sense that, he was capable of all that. You know what I mean? I don't know if he was. I would have loved to see the scene between them and how he got captured. But we're never going to get that. So
no, there's no flashbacks in Manhunter. It's straightforward. There's some dream sequence stuff, but it's all in the present.
That is what works, though. That's what I got to say, because again, you're coming at. That's what I really love about this film when I watch it, and even when I rewatch it. You're coming at the end of his career. He's just working with the FBI. I don't believe he's reinstated. They didn't say nothing about that. You know what I mean?
Kind of freelancing, yeah.
Yeah, but it's funny how, he gets a gun and everything like that. Like, I don't know, it's just weird, but like, I don't know the parameters, but he's just kind of helping out, and he has to promise his wife that he's not going to get too close to it again, because she's his rock, like, this is what got you messed up before, Will. This is why you ended up in the hospital. Not really, but, I mean,
so in both movies, Lecter is kind of he's kind of being asked to help track down the current killer that's happening,
Yeah.
Like you said, in Manhunter, he's helping Graham track down the Tooth Fairy.
Tooth Fairy, yeah.
Silence of the Lambs, he's helping Agent Starling track down Buffalo Bill.
Buffalo Bill, yeah.
He's kind of used the same way as he's incarcerated, but being,
Right.
manipulating things somewhat, and also, well, in Manhunter,
Right.
he actually helps the Tooth Fairy try to get back at Will. Yeah, and in the book, it's even more explicit, right?
Yeah. There's a lot
Differently.
more than differently. Yeah, the ending, and we could talk about that because the ending is completely different. I would like to point out that when Jonathan Demme, and great film by the way, Silence of the Lambs. Maybe we should do one on that sometime.
Oh, yeah.
But that was they didn't have the rights to his Thomas Harris's previous novel. They only had, I think, there's a character dispute. So in the novel of The Silence of the Lambs, when Starling goes to see Crawford, she's staring at all that stuff on the board. If you can remember the scene with Jodie Foster and
The clippings?
all that. She turns in the book version, she asks Crawford about Will Graham. She specifically asks him about him and how's he doing, and he says, "Oh, he's officially retired now. He helped us with that case and da da da." So Harris has in his novels that type of follow up. I'm almost regretful that they couldn't include that in Silence of the Lambs, but it is talked about. They do talk about that. I either read it in a commentary or a director interview or something, but they just couldn't. They didn't have the rights to do that. So that's why that movie stands alone, doesn't seem to be connected to anything else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So all these movies are kind of out there on their own when they should have been connected because Harris wrote them as connected novels, obviously. So, but it works for Michael Mann.
Yeah,
So
I always, after liking Manhunter so much when it came out, and then when Silence of the Lambs comes out, I was just like,
you were
I just
biased.
I
Yeah.
held my Manhunter.
You did.
I gatekeeped it so much that
You
I
did,
wouldn't budge into Silence of the Lambs, even though it's a great movie. And then over the years, I've really come to enjoy it and include it in what I feel is that whole world of
Right.
of Lecter, I guess, is the world we're in. But yeah, it took me a long time to and it won all the Oscar and everything, and
You
it
still
took me a
weren't.
long time.
You still weren't very. You weren't negative Silence of the Lambs, but you were just like, it's not Manhunter.
I
You
wish
know what I mean?
Manhunter would have gotten more
Accolades?
more pub
Yeah.
at the
Well,
time. But
it's unfortunate because I don't think Michael Mann's. And please, this is not meant to be controversial. Michael Mann's career really doesn't become Michael Mann until Heat. That's what I feel.
that's coming
So-
up soon. Right?
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
about 10 years.
Yeah, so all the stuff he knocks out before that, or I call it his experimental phase. It's like I'm the up and coming guy. You know what I mean? And this is one of the ones that I did. And people go back to it all the time, and it's almost, I don't even know if you talk about it in the vein of it's a Michael Mann film. You just talk about it's Manhunter. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I don't, I like Thief is Thief. Like I get who directed it. I understand. I try to give it that props, but it's not Michael Mann's Manhunter. It's just Manhunter and that zeitgeist of how we talk about it. Because there's so much that went into that. You know what I mean?
What I really dig into when I watch, I guess most of Mann's films is that he obsesses with the process
Yeah.
of what the character is going through, and you see that in Manhunter, where especially he does. I noticed. I watched again last night. I watched the director's cut with his Mann's commentary just to kind of regain the scent, and the scenes where there's like he's really good at his characters on the phone, and for some reason I really like those scenes where they're calling Washington, they're in Atlanta, they're calling Jimmy Price and get a chopper down here, and there's a whole thing of them doing a three-way phone call.
This was all interesting to see how they would track stuff and do things like that.
Right. There's that scene. There's another scene where they get the toilet paper roll with the note, and we got how long can we keep Lecter out of the cell? 20 minutes, and it's like
Oh, my
they're
God.
trying to run forensics on this toilet paper that the Tooth Fairy sent Lecter in the jail, and it's just like they got so much time they got to run and get it,
Yeah, yeah.
scoped and
Yep.
magnifying glass and whatever, under the microscope with chemicals, and they got 20 minutes to get it back.
Listen to Bob's enthusiasm, folks. I got to call him out again. So I love being able to embarrass my friend like this, because anytime Jimmy, I don't think it was Jimmy Price. I don't know who was doing it, but when he was looking at where he could see it, he was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
ballpoint pen." He'd be like, "What does he say?" Because Bob latched onto this line for years. It's that whole "You're so sly, but so am I." There it is.
Yeah.
Anytime Bob had to figure something out, boy, that line came out. "You're so sly, but so am I." I would just die. This guy gave me so much entertainment over the years.
Smitrovich. Yeah,
That's who it was, Bill Smitrovich. Yeah,
who was in Miami Vice, and
and then went on to Crime Story and be a great character actor over the years. Yeah, Crime Story with Dennis Farina, by the way.
yeah. There's 2 or 3 of those fellas that got in there for Crime Story, which was a TV series.
The early days, if you were not, and I'm just going to put this out there, if you were not an already A-list person, if you were a character actor, or if you're all these other type of things, you're in Michael Mann's world. He would use you for other films. That was a given. You know what I mean? But like James Caan, going way back to Thief, that dude's coming off The Godfather and all this greatness. He's not going to pop up in a bunch of Michael Mann films. He's not going to use him over and over because he's too high profile for it. You know what I mean? So you don't get that. So
Listening to Mann's commentary, he mentions that Petersen grew up in the Chicago neighborhood that Mann did, I guess. So he's familiar with him, and this Chicago group, the actors group,
right.
That he knew was kind of all familiar to him, right? And he liked to work with those people.
Work with the same people. And why wouldn't you? If you got a hit, forget a hit. If you got a really good set and it's all great, why wouldn't you do that? For years, Scorsese did that with De Niro. You know what I mean? And then Scorsese's new muse became DiCaprio. I mean, if you're working with that and you got such a great relationship, why wouldn't you do further films with that? You know what I mean? So Mann is no different. He pulls from that stable.
It's funny because we did some internet research, and like for the role of Will Graham, Paul Newman, Richard Gere, Mel Gibson, they were all kind of considered.
Yeah.
Timothy Dalton, Don Johnson, Jeff Bridges. Yeah. And for the Lecter role, Brian Dennehy, I guess, according to the commentary, was really in the front.
He was really in the front runner. I remember that. Yep.
And Dennehy was like, "You got to go see this Brian Cox on the stage, production."
That's right. He pushed him to that. Yeah, you got to go see that and stuff.
Give it up for Brian Dennehy.
Yeah. By the way, folks, life's imitating art. Since if I could draw connections, if I can remember them. So we were so into Miami Vice. That was our era. After Manhunter hit, Miami Vice did its own episode of Manhunter, where Crockett, played by Don Johnson, who originally was one of the guys being talked to about the Will Graham role, as an obsessive cop who's got to get into the mind to catch a serial killer. It was a cop in a psych ward who Crockett kept going to get help, and then they're all, if you're too close, you got to get off the case and stuff. But
there's a current NBC show, I think it's called is it The Hunted, or I forget now. Shoot, it's on Thursday nights.
Yes, yeah.
They did a complete. They even played in Agata DeVita trailer, and it was like So there's still that kind of in the zeitgeist of profiling. Profiling a serial killer, and it's still there. And I'm like, you're doing the DiCaprio thing. At the screen, and I don't know how many people put that together.
It's a great homage, though. You got to admit. I mean, if they love it like that, then let them have their cake.
You're like, it's from Manhunter.
So and you're like, who else is getting this vibe right now and stuff?
Right.
But what are you gonna do? So that's great.
So let's talk about a little bit about Will Graham, I guess. We'll just talk about his character a little bit. And we talked about Lecter. Graham has that innate ability to get into the mind of the killer. And I know it sounds more familiar nowadays, but it was kind of the first time that it was in film that
Right.
a police person would or an
Well,
officer would
I remember that we
get
were like,
into
what does
that.
that mean? Yeah, what does that mean? Get to
Right.
the mind of the killer. Like honestly, we interpret it. Well, I can't speak for Bob, but like I interpret it as, what does that mean? Like you're going to become a killer? I didn't know what that meant at the time.
Yeah.
Like nobody did. You know what I mean?
They push it to the line of that's what they want you to think is going to
Right.
happen. Like he's going to turn into a killer.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, before we go on, I want to make sure I had the right title to that. It's called The Hunting Party. That's the show that I saw,
Okay.
the trailer that had the Inagata Devita. I wanted to make sure I said the right show. It's on NBC. It's a current show. It's a kind of a profiling type thing. There was also the Hannibal TV show, which I never watched, with Mads Mikkelsen. And
I did. I watched the first season because they showcased which happened in one episode. I was just disappointed. The Garrett Jacob Hobbs, like I previously mentioned, like I was like, well, is that it? Is that the best that the showrunners can do? Like, why didn't they build him up? But it was like he caught him in like one episode. You know, it was okay, but that show went off the rails.
Right. Well, in Manhunter, when he has the heart-to-heart with his son, he tells him, I was on a case. There was a killer attacking college girls, and
Right.
I went to see, Dr. Lecter, and I saw something that made me realize it was him. And by then, Lecter turned on him and attacked him.
Right.
So that's how he didn't know at the time that he was looking for Lecter, but he just
Right.
discovered it right in the front of him, and then it turned into a sour situation. And
I am going to say this too, that one of these extraordinary directors of the time would have been great. I mean, it's lost the time now. You can't ever do it now, but that would have been great to see them work that case together. And I'm not sure, and folks, I mean, don't come at me because I don't know. I can't remember the TV show. Maybe that's what it was. Maybe, Lecter was the killer and that's what the show was about. He was trying to do that, but I don't recall it being like that. I'm not quite sure, but.
so Will Graham has this radical empathy, I guess it's called, where it's just he can really feel what the killer feels, and that's what leads him to find clues in order to track him down. So
Right.
in this one, it's Francis Dollarhide is the killer, played by Tom Noonan, which we just lost last month or so. It's really sad to hear.
Yeah.
He does a great performance in this, really a standout psycho killer part. It really stands out, and there's so much creepiness.
I had a hard time. I got to be honest, folks. I had a hard time after that separating Tom Noonan, the actor, from Francis Dollarhide. Like he was imposing. He's a 6 foot tall guy. He was lanky at the time,
Right.
and you get the Heat, and you still see
Yeah.
some of that. And I'm like, man, and even his great turn as the quirky Ripper in that Schwarzenegger movie, Last Action Hero, like he's got great roles out there, but I was always like, ooh, that guy is always, something about it always creeped me out. It was Francis Dollarhide,
Yeah.
So it's really hard to process
I,
that.
I guess on set he didn't want to be associating with the other actors.
Oh,
So,
of course,
like
method.
Petersen didn't see him on set until the final scene where
Wow.
where he confronts him at Dollarhide's house
Right.
at the end, and that was like the first. Even on the commentary, man's like, "Yeah, this is the first time Petersen saw him as in character," because he was like. Stayed off to himself, sat in his trailer in the dark. Man said he went in there once and sat with him in the dark, just in the quiet. And it was like, man, that must have been creepy. And
you're the director, you control it, so it's got to be creeping you out, or if
just
that's
like-
creeping you out, you're like, uh-oh, that's
Yeah.
great.
And he and Dollarhide, Noonan as Dollarhide would kind of creep around the set and kind of spy on actors and stuff. It
Oh
just
my
sounded
God,
like a
dude.
crazy
Yeah.
atmosphere.
Well, that's great,
So-
man. It probably did all that for them.
And he
it's
got
what-
into it.
It's what led all
But-
that.
But his character, Dollarhide, is the emotionally and physically scarred character from a childhood.
You don't know that though from Mann's version. Like,
Yeah,
you can only
you really
get.
had
It's
to-
unfortunate. You had to either read the novel or that rebooted one. You just are like, this guy has a problem.
Yeah, he's been emotionally scarred, and
Yeah.
he has a a hair lip, so he's got like a deformity on his upper lip.
Right.
That, he's very, aware of, and
He's cautious when he speaks. It's the way he speaks because he doesn't like the sound that the hair lip gives him. So,
avoids.
he avoids people, avoids contact, things like that. I do admit, and I know this is about Manhunter, I do admit that the background for the Ray Fiennes who played Francis Dalhide in that reboot, it delved into that. It gave you a lot more nuance for that, which I did appreciate, from all of that. We didn't get that with Mann's, but it worked for Mann's movie because, again, Will Graham, at the end of his career, Dollarhide is Dollarhide. You didn't need a lot of flashback. I love that Michael Mann was like, this is your Francis Dollarhide, take it or leave it. You know what I mean?
We're hitting it, the story, like as it's happening in midstream.
Right.
Graham's jumping in, and like you said, this has already happened a few times on full moons where he goes in and murders a family, and he puts like shards of mirror pieces in the victim, the women's eyes. And as we come to find out, and Graham feels that what he's trying to accomplish by doing that is that he's trying to get the reflection of himself and what he thinks the victim is seeing.
Well, Graham found shards of glass. They didn't show you yet. You wouldn't find that out until the movie goes along, but in the police reports, it says something about shards of glass. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then something about the victims had shards of glass and stuff. So that's how things slowly start to unravel, if you will. That's what Graham is putting together. By the way, I want to talk really quickly about the opening shot.
Oh, yeah, I love that one.
Yeah, the opening shot is this. It's super grainy over. It's not even credits. It's just this weird.
It kicks in. It's like
the music the music is very 80s synthesizer. You know what I mean? And it's just a flashlight going up a set of stairs. You're not sure what it is, but you will find out later what happens. So this cold opening, you're like, oh man, are we going to see
creepy.
it?
Yeah.
It's creepy as fuck. Like, it really is. And then he shines the flashlight, just holds it over the bed, and it's the woman who wakes up first. And when she finally wakes up, then it
just dissolves to
the title card. Yeah, and it's that you find out later because there's a flashback. Well, it's not a flashback. You see home movies of the two families. And then you get one scene, as Bob just briefly mentioned, about Graham putting himself in the killer's mindset, where he's looking at the bed, and she's very throws
fantasy type.
Yeah, that you should bring that up. Yeah, because he's like in the fantasy mind of the killer.
Not in a sexual way or anything.
Yeah, the killer sees himself through the shards. In a fantasy type thing, like, she wants me. This is her wanting me.
Dollarhide is, but
Dollarhide is.
When Graham thinks of it, he's imagining what the killer is.
Yeah, and you do get that flashback scene like that. Sorry, it's not even a flashback. It's into Graham's mind, which is really good. I think it's really good. There's also
a cool effect, right?
Yes,
it's like light in her eyes and mouth.
Yeah,
it's the reflection, and it's really eerie.
And the way Mann did that, it's given. That's why I think a lot of people like Manhunter. Not only is it psychologically powerful, visually it's stunning. You're like, we hadn't seen anything like that before. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a music video angle to it all.
Yeah, there you go.
It's a visual style that plays up what's happening, and it's really interesting. I find.
Well, you get, and it's driven by music. I mean, Mann was.
We'll get into that. Let's save that section for the soundtrack, because that deserves.
I'm not even sure why it's rated R. I mean, there's some language, and I think it's just I'm going to go ahead and say this. It's the adult thematic material, and there's a couple scenes that I think Mann saves to shock you. And the one that stands to mind is when Graham goes to the Leeds house. Sorry. It's either Jacoby or the Leeds. He goes to one of the houses, he flips on the light switch, and the bedroom is swathed in blood. Remember that one?
Yeah.
Where he turns on that light. That's horrific. You know what I mean?
Right. There's blood all over the place.
Blood all over the
walls
place.
And everything.
Right.
And it's a completely white
white bedroom, yeah. But you don't get a lot of that gore in the movie. It's all thematic horror.
It's not serial killer type,
Yeah.
stuff.
And by the way, you are what 40 minutes into this movie before Dollarhide shows up. Like you got no idea what this guy is. You know what I mean? And
It's interesting. You don't see Dollarhide until Graham is kind of inhabiting some of his thoughts, and then the film shifts a little bit into Dollarhide's story.
right.
You're
And
right.
by the way, folks, I got to say, in 1986, no internet the way we were. You have to get things from magazines or TV spot or trailers. Like you don't. You might read an article of what a reviewer did if they told you stuff, but like us being at the theater and aware of movies coming out, like I can't even remember the trailer, Bob. You know what I mean? Like why we would be turned on to this and be like, oh, we got to go see that. It's creepy as fuck when him and Reba are sitting there and he's watching the movies of the family he's going to go visit next.
Right.
And by the way, Reba is blind. Okay,
right.
That's his
he works
coworker.
at this film processing plant with Reba, his love interest at work, and he's interested. She's blind, so she doesn't see any of his what he considers faults. So he feels comfortable with her, and he takes her home, and he shows her these movies that.
Well, he's playing them. There's no sound. They're home movies that he has stolen from the film lab, and it's the next family he's going to go visit. And she's like, "What is it?" And it's nocturnal something of animals, or I don't know, something like that, or whatever he tells her. But that's creepy, dude, because he's just watching him there, and I mean, I gotta admit, he's getting
excited.
Yeah, he's getting excited. There's some innuendo, they show him looking at her body, breathing and stuff, and then I gotta tell you, folks, they throw you with a loop, like they do. Like he's looking at her and he's like, oh yeah, not in a really overt way, but you could tell that he's like, there's a woman next to me and I'm getting aroused looking at the next family I'm going to kill. And all of a sudden she makes a move on him.
Yeah. Well, let's make note that it's Joan Allen. It was
The great Joan Allen. Yeah, dude. Yeah. And she makes a move on Dollarhide. Like she's like, whatever was doing. It did it for her. Like, and they end up fucking screwing.
Yeah.
That's
she's
probably
all over it.
And that's probably the first time Dollarhide had sex with a woman. From what we know about his background and stuff, so.
Right.
Because I don't know, and I can't remember, Bob, I don't know if him as a serial killer, if he did anything sexual to the victims. I don't think he did, but I'm not sure.
I don't believe so.
Yeah, and I can't remember from the novel if he was like that.
I don't believe so. But two things. The opening shot, I wanted to get your opinion on it. I always kind of took that we're looking at maybe footage that he took.
Going up the stairs?
That Dollarhide took, because like later when he's showing Freddie Lowndes, the tabloid reporter played by Stephen Lang, he's showing him clips. He's like,
well, you don't see him, right?
Mrs. Leeds becoming whatever.
It's
after he's done what he's
done. So it is.
To her.
Yeah, you are correct. It is him filming that. Like that's that. I don't know how he's doing it.
Super 8, footage.
Yeah, he's got to be holding the flashlight though. Problem with movies like that too is when they show you Dollarhide's viewpoint of it, you become sympathetic as an audience member.
Right. Well, that's the thing. That's part two. The second thing I wanted to mention was, like you just said, Graham is feeling the empathy for Dollarhide in order to feel what he is needing to, why he's doing this and needing to do this, and it's the empathy for him. As we find out from Hannibal Lecter, if one does as God does enough times, one becomes God. So he feels like if he can...
I'm telling you, folks, listen to that. He got that quote right.
He just feels like he can...
emulate
he's
that.
He's trying to become something.
And become something else.
His whole philosophy is based on the William Blake painting of the Red Dragon.
Right, but you don't get that in the Manhunter version.
No.
That's unfortunate, I mean, there's a whole thing about him eating the painting and stuff where he becomes it, and, that's where I think that reboot years later did do really well, and Ray Fiennes was a great Dollarhide, don't get me wrong. I mean, that was, but you got that whole painting thing and stuff like that, so. And
he's trying to gain this power, so he feels like if he can do this each month, he gains more power.
Yeah.
And he's also trying to, how would you say, his reflections and mirrors are all being used to project back onto himself.
Back on him, like he'll be loved and he'll be accepted. And in between all that, in figuring all this stuff out, great Bob had mentioned before, the police procedural stuff. There's a couple scenes that are just fantastic about that. And then you interject Freddie Lounds, because come on, you got to talk about Freddie Lounds for a minute.
The Stephen Lang character.
Yeah, the Stephen Lang, he is such a great actor, whether in his absolutely unhinged tombstone role of Ike Clanton, if you guys remember that, to his by the book, over the top, zealous general from the Avatar series. Like he is that guy, like Stephen Lang is one of the guys I put in my corner. Like he's a guy that I see him in movies. I'm like, oh yeah, like
he's in that Don't Breathe series too, I believe.
I'm not even going to talk about that, dude. that unhinges me a lot, because that movie did not go where I thought it was going to go. So, and would that be considered a killer? I guess I don't.
He's kind of a psycho.
Psycho, yeah. So, but he plays this really obnoxious shitbag named Freddie Lounds. He's a tabloid reporter.
Kind of like a National Enquirer type.
Yeah,
thing.
called the National Tattler. And some of you guys might not know what that stuff is if you're young enough watching our channel. They used to have these rags, Bat Baby and stuff that were just this stuff. And the reason why Graham hates him so much is that because when he was in the hospital recuperating from Lecter, Lowndes pulled back the
son of a bitch pulled back the sheets so he can take pictures of him.
So he took pictures of him, of all his wounds and stuff. Excuse me. And posted them. So he hates Lowndes, but it takes an interesting turn, if you will. Like
because he teams up. Graham wants to team up or use Lowndes.
Lowndes, yeah. He doesn't team up, but
Tooth Fairy out.
Draw him out. I gotta suspect. Listen, folks.
Instead of going after Graham, he goes after
Lowndes. Yeah. When you watch this, I don't know. I gotta feel that as smart as Graham is, that he's like he might have known. You know what I mean?
He's setting up Freddie Lounds.
Yeah, dude, he has no sympathy. He doesn't break a sweat. There's no love lost when he finds out anything. Nothing. You know what I mean?
It's just like, did he say anything?
Yeah.
Lounds gets it pretty bad,
Yeah,
once Dollarhide abducts him. Yeah.
That's right. Dollarhide abducts Lowndes, which, by the way, Dollarhide just drives all over the country, too, by the way. If he finds a family and stuff, it doesn't matter. Yeah. He's got this van, and he just drives to him. So the serial killer doesn't.
He's based in St. Louis, and I think there's Atlanta's in
Atlanta, yeah. So he doesn't operate like he goes where he needs to go, which is really it's really lost in the greater scheme of that story. It's not like this serial killer terrorized San Francisco for 2 years. You know what I mean, or like that type of thing. Yeah, Dollarhide, whatever. So he goes to wherever the Tattler's at. I don't know if it's St. Louis or not, but. He abducts Lowndes.
I think it's Chicago.
Yeah. So, and he takes him back to his home, and pretty much that's that. I don't know if Bob will use this as a promo, but I put a stocking mask on, and is all here I am. So, and it's really a God, dude. That's a I don't know.
Serial killer introductions, I would say in film. I think it's just like so weird and like.
And why does he get the nickname Tooth Fairy? Can you tell us?
I can never remember if it's the grandma or mother's dentures.
It is. It's the grandma's dentures. Dentures. It's. Oh.
I know. I totally kind of dropped the ball on that one. Sorry.
It is. Folks. It's his mom, I thought. So I don't know. I think it's his mom, but it's a cast of her teeth, and he just puts them in, and he leaves what do they call them? Ligature marks on the victims and stuff. So. And the reason why I bring that up, folks, is because he makes Lowndes record, I get what's coming to me. I'm a piece of shit. Like it's obviously he makes him read something,
Right.
And Lowndes reads it, and then he's like, "Are you going to let me go?" He's like, "Oh, of course." And then, I don't know, Dollarhide says, "Well, we have to seal our goodbyes with a kiss."
I mean, thank God we don't see.
Yeah, but Dollarhide bites the lower extremity, Lowndes' face.
But he ends up in a wheelchair that's in a crazy scene in a parking garage where,
he's strapped. He ties him to a wheelchair. And basically, it's a great scene because there's a guard who hears a noise. It's the Tattler is what it is. It's their basement thing. Yeah, the offices. And he returns the allowance to the teller, but this guard looks around, can't hear nothing. Then you hear this little weird whoosh sound, and this guard turns on and goes, ah, and he runs away. And then when you look, it's Lowndes coming down the ramp, all in the wheelchair on fire. So
Yeah.
he ends up dying and stuff.
That's how he takes care of him. Yeah. So
that didn't really pan out, though. I don't know if they got any. What did they get off that? They got nothing out of it. Like, if you, in the greater scheme of the movie, they got nothing off of it. Like, he didn't say anything before he died or nothing. You know what I mean? All they did was get the, well, they got the note, which is like what I am becoming or something like that. So they did get some clues off of what Lowndes recorded. Right. So some stuff like that. But
I mean, many people might feel that it's very 80s, and it does have an 80s synth thing going on.
Synth quality, right.
There's a few artists that play tracks on it. Most notably, Shriekback has a few good songs.
Right.
The Prime Movers, the Reds, Red 7 has the song Heartbeat at the end. And Michelle Rubini did the Grams, the theme that you hear throughout,
right.
The synth-based anthem for Will Graham, which is a great theme.
I'm gonna have to interrupt Bob here for a second. So there's a scene in the airport where Lecter previously gave. There's the whole thing that Bob just talked about they had to get him out of his cell, and it's very intense about getting him back to his cell. And they're trying to figure out how Lecter is corresponding with the killer. And Crawford finally tells him that he gave him his wife's home address in Florida. It's a pretty intense scene where the sheriff shows up. You don't know if it's the killer outside. Anyway, they get that. And once the wife is out of the picture, there's this cool airport scene where the Graham's theme kicks in, and he's hearing all that stuff in her head, and it's the thing with he puts the hand up on the glass.
On the glass?
Yeah, Bob just said this to me last night. He just said the quoted line, says, "Just you and me now, sport." So, and it's a great line. It's one of those kind of action movie moments, where you're just like, yeah. So, and that Graham's theme, if you will, was all, like, it plays through that whole scene. It's the only time you really get the majority of it, with the drums and everything. And when he puts his hand up on the raining glass, it's like, "Just you and me now, sport." That poor waitress behind him was like, "Excuse me?" He's like, "Nothing, coffee." But
there's another scene later when he's finally makes connections to what, pull back the tape.
Oh my God, that's powerful, dude. That's a powerful use of that theme.
It's the coming to his senses of, like, he realizes, Will Graham realizes what is happening and how Dollarhide is doing the casing of the families, and he realizes that it's from the film that the families send into the lab. Right. He finds out all their address, everything.
And, yep.
Yeah, knows all about them and sees on the film where the locks are on the house. And
there's a beautiful argument prior to that kicks it off. Like him and Crawford, Crawford's like, "I got the jet. We're ready to go." If
how
it happens,
late are you going to take it, Will?
Yeah, I'll take it as late as I want. There's a great argument between Denis Farina and Will Petersen as the two characters in Will's, it's his hotel room, and he's like, I'll say when we quit. Something like that. I'll say how late we take it.
I was going to imagine families 3, 4, 4, and 5.
Right. And then Crawford's just like, "That's right. I do it fucking again." Like, they're really. It's a great argument.
Good match.
Yeah, dude. Like that energy that they're given, and there's just this brief pause, dude. I don't know what sets it off, but he looks back. He sees that film, The Lock, and then you go into this long. Graham's
little doggy has a collar, but you didn't know that.
Oh my God. It's the only time where you got so you got to look at Denis Farina in the background. I wish they would have spent more time on him, but he doesn't interrupt, and he takes a couple steps closer, and he watches the process. And this is Graham's process and how he's figuring out. He locks it in. And that is the best scene in the movie.
It's like, you've seen these films.
Yeah,
and then I just love that moment because he's like, "Call, so and so, and check back at Washington." The lead.
He's like, "Gateway Labs, St. Louis, Missouri." Yeah, then it's like, "No, Bob's photo man." Like the segue, he's like, "Bob's photo store." He's like, "No." He's like, "Have him peel the top label off," and then there's no sound and it's quiet.
I just love that. Right, I love that because then Farina's. It's the moment that it's like we're kicking into a chase scene now.
Yeah, because and Frida, and he took back. He's like, it is, isn't it? And Frida's just holding the phone. He's like, holy shit! And there's no confirmation that that's what it was, but when they figure it out, dude. And that's it. They're like, let's go.
Right. Then it turns into the chase. Right?
Yeah, yeah. And by the way, there's one actor in Manhunter, Hannibal, and Silence of the Lambs. It's the same actor. I think he plays different roles. He plays the same roles in Silence of the Lambs. He plays Barney. He plays the
I was going to mention that. I was shocked to see him as the police lieutenant.
He's the police lieutenant in St. Louis. So
he's Lieutenant Fisk. I had to look it up.
Yeah. So in the world of whatchamacallit, what do you call that when a fan theory? I guess in the world of fan theories, people are like,
I love that.
He was so intrigued by that he decided to retire and go work at the asylum.
Yeah.
So
the actor's name is Frankie Faison.
Faison, yeah, Frankie Faison stuff. Yeah,
I was like, wait a minute, that's Barney from Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah, dude. I think it's a great thing. Yeah,
I did.
And they do the old school fax license plates and stuff, and it's all you get this real time that I think works really well. Where they're like, we're on the jet. We're on our way to St. Louis. I need you guys. Like they're in the air talking on these phones, and it's all loud. You hear the hum of the jet and everything and stuff.
That's how they get Dollarhide's address. Yeah.
Yeah. And while that's barreling down, folks, by the way, the fantasy mind of Dollarhide breaks down because he thinks there's a brief scene with the boss from work who they had a run-in earlier. He gives Reba a ride home, and he pulls some lint off her face or something. Right. But in Dollarhide's eyes, he sees this big old romantic gesture and the loving stroking. And
artistically lit different in his mind. And he's
and so he's
imagining more than what's really happening.
Right. And I think what it was is that you had this, to me, there's this hope that he wasn't going to kill the family. Like Reba was giving him peace.
Right.
Right.
You think maybe he could be turned. Maybe he could find love and then he won't do this.
Yeah. And he wasn't, and he didn't. Yeah.
That you, Francis?
Yeah. No. Francis is gone. I don't even know what he says after that. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
But he kills the co-worker, and he just kidnaps Reba, and I guess he's going to make her the last victim or the next victim. That's how it breaks down, right?
He breaks glass and shards. He's going to run the whole thing on her, and that's.
Yeah, I hate to say this, but in the greater scheme of things, good thing that happened with the coworker because that means he would have been late on that other family. He wouldn't have done it that month. You know what I mean?
They had to be on the full moon, right?
Yeah. So and he went after Reba, and so that leads the chase for them to drive to Dollarhide's mansion or whatever it is. The final shootout with that 9-minute, 34-second long Inagata Devita
playing in the background. It's just
playing in the background or whatever. Yeah, that's great though.
Yeah, there's a scene earlier too because when Graham busts through the window and encounters Dollarhide in the final scene, breaks up what's happening to Reba. She kind of takes off or whatever. She's out of the danger at the moment. And Dollarhide busts open a sawed-off shotgun or whatever or something. He's just blasting cops, unfortunately, through the windows and doors and stuff.
Yeah, not the ending to the book. So if you had already read this up before seeing this, you would have been like, "What?" But
because they've surrounded him, and so once Graham busts through and is having a shootout with Dollarhide,
you should talk about the Library of Congress scene. I forgot about that.
Well, that's what I was going to kind of go back to because the gun that Graham has the Glazer safety slugs.
Yeah, it's a 44 Magnum, folks. It's a snub nose, but it's a powerful gun on its own right. And they give him. By the way, there's no way I should know this, but I just do from the kind of my upbringing. Those bullets are not even legal. Like they went out. Like you can't get them.
The Glazer safety slugs?
Basically like a shotgun, little mini shotgun inside a 44 slug. And I think they were relegated only to law enforcement. You could get them in the public for a while back then, but then they're like, no, this is...
It had like liquid Teflon in it, I guess?
Yeah.
From what Mann was saying on the commentary. Yeah,
something like that. But believe it or not, this is how much of a nerd I am. I bought those when I was younger. I bought Glazer safety slugs. And I had them. They had the blue tip and everything. And I just kept them for years. I kept them up on the shelf as, I don't know, a prop. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
right.
but yeah, I couldn't get them after a while. After many, many years, it just they were kind of like they got made illegal or something like that. So, I always thought that was interesting. But there's a whole scene that Bob is
Preceding the
referencing.
end,
Yeah, it's in the middle of the movie somewhere that they think Dollarhide's going to go for the bait of Graham. And I'm not sure. I can't remember, folks, if this is after Lowndes or not. But they use Graham as bait. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's before Lowndes is
it?
offed. Yeah.
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 Oh,
They're
right,
using-
because he goes to Lowndes instead. I'm sorry.
Right.
That's the way it's set up. They think it's going to be Graham, and it's not.
or
because
Dollarhide, and it's
Yeah.
not. Yeah.
Yeah, because his psychiatrist, it's not Jimmy Price, but it's the other guy. I
Sidney
can't
Bloom.
remember.
Yeah.
Sidney Bloom, Dr. Bloom, because they're at a table and Graham is like, well, if he doesn't go for this, we'll bait him with something else and me. And Bloom is like, I don't think that's a good idea.
I don't think that's a good idea.
Yeah, so, and the Sidney Bloom, by the way, is like, I think better in this movie because I'm not sure if he's the same character in Silence of the Lambs. I'm not sure if that's Dr. Bloom or not. Because
Well, there's a
of that-
Dr. Chilton, too, at the
Oh, that's right.
Institute.
Chilton is the guy at the Institute. That's right. Yeah,
He
so
plays a
Bloom
bigger
is-
role in Silence of the Lambs. Yeah.
Right, right. But Bloom, yeah, you're right. Stuff. So
Bloom
so
is
this whole
Graham's doctor. Yeah.
Graham's doctor. Yeah, and he's involved because he's a psycho. You know,
Right, like
Yeah.
a psychologist type. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's like, let's get in the mind of this guy. Da da da. But he doesn't want Graham to revert back to what it was. And
Right.
that scene is one that Bob really enjoys. So you should set it up.
Yeah, I
tell
love
him.
that scene. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
cool,
you
cool
do.
Soundtrack to it, right? The cool instrumental song to it, and that agent who briefs Graham on the gun and the bullets, according to the commentary, was a real marksman. So
Yeah.
he was like an award-winning marksman. So he kind of
Right.
knew what he was talking about.
If I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken, I could be wrong. It might be the guy that played the assassin in a Miami Vice episode, and he was really remember that guy that
No.
outside the hotel he drew the pistol really quick out of his things and pow,
really?
pow, 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 because they put a hit out on Crockett. I'm almost positive that's the same guy, and it wasn't sped up camera work, and I was like, that dude was quick. It's like
Well, that's
Tom
the
Cruise
thing.
in Collateral.
That's the thing about Mann, again, is that he gets these authentic actors that have also some sort of authenticity from real life, and it really shows in the movies, and especially this one. Even in the credits I saw for the policemen or police officers at the end were all real police officers.
Right,
It's like,
right.
they're all listed as officers, and it's like,
Awesome.
he
Let's
must
walk
have
the
just
route.
rounded up, some real
Right.
officers to play the parts in the movie. So, but we should probably kind of wrap it up. It's getting a little long.
Well,
I know we
yeah.
could talk about this forever, but
That's all right. That's all right. We got. I mean, I think we've covered quite a bit of it and what it is. And at the end, you're right. They have their big shootout. You know what I mean?
Now-
It's different from the novel.
the only
Where-
thing I don't like. Well, I'll let you get back to the novel. But the only thing I don't like about the director cut is the after Dollarhide's been shot by
The
Graham,
demise. Yeah. You don't
then
like
the
that
show.
part?
No,
Where it
no,
goes to
I
the
don't like
family?
the. Yeah, I don't like the part when they goes to the family. I just feel like
Huh.
it just feels off. Like the acting, like it was really tacked on. Like it feels like a
Like
shot,
it, like
shoot
it should have
that
been
was done way
a scene that
later.
was deleted and it shouldn't have been done or something. I don't know. Yeah. I
mean,
get
it's
what
the
you're
only-
getting at.
In the director cut, there's quite a few little add-on scenes that add depth to Molly, Graham's wife. She comes to
Right.
visit him before that scene in the Washington D.C. with the jogger.
Right.
There's a nice scene of her coming. Farina brings her in to talk, to spend the night with Graham to kind of cool him down, and because he was going off half-cocked again. So, but there's nice little add-on layers with most of the directorial extended scenes. But that last scene just kind of, I don't know, the way the husband kind of runs up and has the gun in his back.
Has the gun in
pocket,
his back. Yeah. Like,
it just seemed like it didn't quite fit the mood of the style.
First of all,
of the
I
rest
always-
of the movie, but
I gotta ask, dude. Like
Mann
what's
seems
the-
to like it.
Does
So,
he?
I
Well,
mean,
what's
he,
the-
Yeah, he prefers the director cut.
Oh
in
wow,
his
dude! What is the
commentary.
protocol though? Like, what is the protocol? Do the cops go and tell that family that you're on that list? and traumatize
because
them
they're
forever.
like, he's like, I'm Will Graham. Oh yeah, we've heard about you. You know, so
No,
they
I
must
get
have
it,
known.
but they must have known. Yeah, so I'm like, oh my god, yeah. By the way, folks, the rarest of rare can happen, and the reason why we saw the director's cut way back in the day was on Showtime. Like it was
Yeah.
Showtime showed the
forgot about
director's
that.
cut version. Yeah, dude, and we were like, oh my god,
Had
you
our
see that?
VCRs
Like,
going.
yeah, dude. So we were like, we got this director's cut
Man, I
back in
forgot
the
about
day of
that.
the VCR times. Yeah. Which I don't know how we latched on to that. They were going to show that version. I don't know
A
if
special
Showtime,
presentation of
yeah, it was
Manhunter, you know,
promoting
something.
that. Yeah, it was something like that. So it was like you imagine having that copy of that VHS now? That'd be crazy and stuff. So you know, but
Our VCRs were rolling that night. Yeah.
yeah, they were, man. I was like, man, did you see that? Something you have to call each other on the phone and shit. You know, that was a great scene, man. And at the time, we were all for it because it was just anything else we could absorb. But you're right. Nowadays, I don't prefer that. I prefer the theatrical version. I'm not a fan of the. I think not having Molly in it adds to the nuance of the film of Graham's mindset. You know what I mean? So I do like that those scenes are excised. And even though I am a fan of longer stuff sometimes and extra added ons, I think the theatrical cut works really well for that version. It's just the one I prefer.
Give the director another chance, but take out that end scene. Everything else I'm down with. You know, the little additional FBI briefing scenes and this and that. They're really nothing really changes the story. It's just that end scene was like, wow, this is tonally different. I thought from
it ended. I'm going to
in
add
the
on one
theatrical.
to you as well because I wish they would take out his dialogue on the pier at the end. I don't like that. So if you can remember, they're playing
Whose
that
dialogue?
Will Graham's dialogue. So they go down. They show the scene. She's out on the pier. It's like, where's she at? She's down
Reba?
there.
Yeah.
Reba. He goes down there, and they're already playing the startup to that poppy song, that Heartbeat.
Yeah.
And he goes down there, and she's like, "Who are you?" I'm Will Graham. I don't know. I understand it sounds like maybe he's being soft to her and not trying to, because she's blind or something. I think it would have been cool if they would have just played the song. He would have gone down there and there's no dialogue. She just turns and hugs him. To me, it would have been more powerful. I didn't need to hear, who are you?
I understand.
I'm Will Graham.
Yeah.
It was all just soft spoken, and I don't know. There's probably other people like, oh no, it worked really good. It just didn't work for me. That version of it.
Just like the director ending doesn't work for me that much, but
exactly.
I do like the rest of it. And it is criminal that this film hasn't been on a 4K or a Criterion release.
This is how you need to end this because I was waiting for you to bring that up.
But I really kind of was like, ugh, when I was listening to Michael Mann, because he's like, yeah, normally the negative is stored with the studio and it didn't happen. So it's like, I have a bad feeling that the original materials may not exist to make it a remastered. He was like, he really made it sound like there wasn't anything to draw a higher res copy of it. And I was like, oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, because you know what? I always hate that you find out it's sitting in somebody's basement somewhere and they just don't know what they have.
Yeah.
Like, I hate that stuff. 4 years later, you find something,
And this is an anniversary year, so I was hoping for something, maybe the 40th anniversary of 86 to 2026. And boy, I don't know now. I'm like a little skeptical that it might ever come out highly on a 4K or something.
In our previous episode, we did the To Live and Die in L.A. Was that last year we got that 4K?
Yeah, that's right. 85 to 25. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was phenomenal that we got that thing because that looked amazing. So
great double feature. Yeah. If you want to watch two back to back, great crime stories.
Nobody's gonna do that. Oh yeah, just watch them, not putting them together on DVD or something.
I love the double feature idea though. I always try to pair movies.
Yeah, exactly. Back in the day, you'll find that cheap DVD bin where it's like they try to match up stuff. All three missing in action movies from Chuck Norris, stuff
crime
like that.
Thrillers.
Yeah.
Right.
Over, I don't know, depending who's watching this, over Bob's left-hand shoulder, what it is and stuff. He has this,
It's a...
So Bob has first of all, you have the director's
later.
cut on DVD, don't you? You have that.
Oh, yeah.
That red case one. Is that what it is?
Yeah,
the anniversary
it's one
set?
of the bigger ones. It's,
there you go. So, and that's one still to get. So, folks, if you're going to hunt one up, that would be the one to get. Yeah. So...
there's so many versions. There's another version on DVD.
Yeah.
I got this one is the Shout Factory up here. That one's That one's like going. I was looking on eBay. I was like, oh my god, that thing is like, that's really gone up in value. And my slip's all beat up. I got it used.
Well,
but
that's because of the story you just told too. Like if we're not gonna get one or the thing's gone, and that's what it is. It's
hard
too
to
bad.
get.
Yeah.
The laser disc over my shoulder. I just want to again say thank you. I'm part of a Manhunter group on Facebook, and the gentleman who runs it, named John, had a like a raffle. Whoever
Right.
answers the question, I can't remember. It was like 3 years ago, but I won that laser disc with Dollarhide on the cover, and it really means a lot to me. And hopefully John's watching. He also sent me a fun note with the sticker. You owe me.
You owe me awe.
Congrats, Robert.
Yeah.
Enjoy, John.
I'm
This
so
little
glad you
symbol.
brought that up. So I was hoping you'd bring that up.
I really appreciated that from John.
Yeah.
I think he was over in England.
England.
So
Yeah, he
it was
said
really
England
cool.
and stuff. That's really good and
So,
stuff.
there's not a lot of material. I do have a script, a copy of a script. I have a press packet, which I somehow kept over the years. Recently, when I was with you and Jim, I came across a newer version of Red Dragon, which was at Walmart. So you never know what you find.
I always recommend reading the novel. The novel is very taut, if you will. And the ending, again, for the movie, the ending's different. Dollarhide shows up at the home of Will Graham.
In
and
the
they have-
book.
Yeah, in the
Yeah.
book. Sorry, yeah. And that's the version we got in the Ray Fiennes, Edward Norton version, which is good. Don't get me wrong.
I haven't
but
seen that one in a while.
That's a scary one. So when he shows up at their home, that's the ending I would have preferred. But as far as the 80s go, I know why Mann did what he did. I mean,
Yeah.
it was the 80s and it was Mann. And this is how this movie needs to end, with the shotgun and the
Action and the weird
action.
film jumps and speed ups.
Yeah, speed ups.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
just really
that kind of stuff.
stylized. Yeah.
Well, him shooting out the lights and that from in
The drum solo or whatever.
Oh my God, yeah. So it worked for the time. And that's it.
If you want to get into that and watch this movie and see what it reminds you of, because there's a lot of things nowadays that is drawn from this movie. So, and it has a lot of the Lecter lore in it too, which is fun.
Yeah, and I want to say this, folks. Like, Bob and I have really talked about these last 2 episodes that we did, so I really enjoy this trip down nostalgia lane that we can pull from the 80s, and you can see a brief glimpse into how we were and how I'm always joking with my buddy about the lines that he says and stuff like that. Like that's what makes it fun, and
the reason we do this podcast is
absolutely
because of our past and our love for movies and how much
Right.
we enjoyed them in working in the movie theater and talking about them and in at work and after work, hanging out, just watching things on VHS or whatever and driving around talking about movies. I mean, we just
this is the way
was
I'm gonna put it. So
Take us
say we
out.
saw that movie, we would, if we got it free, like if it was at our theater, we'd burn it out. Like we'd watch it a million times. Like I'd see Bob on a Friday night. What are you doing? I'm coming up to watch this again and stuff. Be like, holy cow. And then if we had a chance, somebody else is playing it, like at the bigger house or something, we'd even go see it there. We'd be like, yeah, we'll pay money for it. Like we did that all the time. You know what I mean? And then afterwards, I always say this about my mother, God rest her, that she's always like, what do you guys do? And I never knew how to explain it. I'm like, I don't know, stand in front of a car and talk.
Yeah,
She never
hang
grasped that. Yeah. But that's our scrolling. Like we would
Right.
just,
Texting.
so imagine going down the rabbit hole when you're scrolling through TikTok of a million that are on the subject of that one thing. Well, that's what we do. We just sit in front of a car and we talk about the scenes over and over and what about this and what about that? And so that's why we take you on this journey with us, if you will.
Yeah.
So that's what I had to say about that.
That's a good way to end it. Let's leave it there, and I guess judge for yourself. Please check out Manhunter and leave us what you think in our comments. We appreciate that. So follow us at the Fandom Outpost on social media and everywhere you get your podcasts. And leave a comment on our Facebook page and check out our Instagram page. We do a lot of stuff for physical media and movie clips, fun things. Check us out on Instagram. We really appreciate that.
This was really fun, so I'm glad Bob and I got a chance to do this. So.
Yeah, these two, To Live and Die in LA and Manhunter, have been the two of my favorites that I've always hoped we can get to, and I finally
Absolutely.
got to them. So I'm super happy that we did it. So Thanks again, and
Thanks for
we'll
joining
see you
us.
next time on the Fandom Outpost. I'm Bob.
I am Mark.
Take care, everyone. Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye-bye.